So, I understand it is November, but I've got other countdowns on my mind that I want to do before the end of the year, so we're just gonna have to deal with it. Anyways, Merry Early Christmas to you all. You know, for the times I have talked about snow/ice levels in gaming, I never really did a video taking on the topic of my favorites of the bunch. That changes today. Snow/ice levels are my favorite level types in gaming history. To me, they bring out a sense of relaxation in its environments and presentations. Granted, the ice physics are annoying, but let's face it, ice is meant to be slippery like in real life. But that leads to the question, what are my favorite winter-themed levels in gaming? Good question, said no one in the history of ever. Anyways, enough talking, let's light up a Christmas season and bring some eggnog for you and your friends to enjoy. Great to be talking about Genshin Impact again. I've said in my opinion that it has the greatest graphics in video game history. Gacha is very divisive in general, but as someone who loves gacha and has made a gacha series on my second channel, linked in the description, I love how this game looks, especially when it comes to the mystical mountain range area known as Dragon Spine. Unlike other winter-themed levels where you can just go through the levels without any hesitation, well, Genshin Impact tries to put realism in the game by having a freezing temperature and Dragon Spine actually make you take damage. May sound like a bad thing, and yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it really pisses me off at certain points, which is why this level's on my 10th spot. But it is a unique feature and brings a lot of charisma into this game that a lot of it really shares. The extreme cold weather is a perfect example of one of the quotes Johnny says in the Super Walk miniseries.
If anything, the better it looks, the more cautious you should be.
Dragon Spine is widely regarded as one of the most dangerous areas in all of Mondstadt, and I highly see why, not just due to the cold climate. Dragon Spine is home to some of the toughest enemies in all of Mondstadt and was in fact a place that used to be filled with civilization since it has an entombed city with an ancient palace, which used to be a kingdom long ago. When you reach the inside of a mountain, you basically just reach paradise as the Starglow Cavern has vegetation that grows throughout the place and even illuminates the darkest and deepest places too. If you try to access the peak of Dragon Spine with Skyfrost and Ale early on in the game, you will be forced to teleport away as Paimon informs you that the climate is far too cold for you to continue on. Everything you see in Dragon Spine, like the rest of the locations in the Watertay, that contains a very interesting lore. There used to exist a venomous dragon called Durin who fell on the kingdom after its battle with Dvalin. A princess had the gift of visions that predicted the kingdom's fall, and that is brought about by the peak of the mountain, which falls and destroys the silver ley-lined tree, which caused the change of the climate of the kingdom to frostbite. Like all tales and legends of Genshin Impact, a pretty deep and compelling story. And what's quite interesting to believe is that the level designer Xiao Ao said that most of the lore and history of Dragon Spine were purposely left vaguely so that players can have their own interpretations as to what happened to the place. I find that pretty interesting to see the game would let the player choose their own theory for Dragon Spine. Look out, MatPat, you got competition. Winter-themed levels aren't all too well known in the series aside from the Ice Castle from Persona 1. Although, if I had played Persona 1, the Ice Castle may or may not have had a chance to make it on the list. But then Persona 5 Strikers comes around and gives us an ice level that is pretty fun. Because the metaverse revolves around representing corrupted thoughts and desires and people, whether it is in palaces or in jails, it seriously makes a whole lot of sense that the mayor of Sapporo, Mariko Hyodo's cold personality, really fits this place. Like every jail, you cannot access Mariko's castle immediately, and they blocked off the path to it because of a wall of ice. After collecting the first core, a massive snowstorm will begin that turns off checkpoint teleportation, so you have to turn on 4 heaters that are guarded by sentries and are fighting principalities. However, turning on all the heaters to stop a snowstorm will not stop the checkpoint teleportation restriction, as there's a strong shadow at Adori Park preventing its activation. Once the ice wall goes down, an incredible amount of Jack Frost, or the He Horde, will block your path, so you have to head back. Then once the path is cleared, it's straight to the main castle itself, and it's pretty forgettable, which also leads into the fight against Shadow Mariko, which isn't a bad boss fight, but it's super easy just a button mash, and she kinda doesn't do much compared to Alice and Natsume, making her pathetically easy. The music, however, fits Icy City, which also fits Hyoto's cold personality, and there are times when you slide down hill on a snowboard Sonic Adventure style. I wish I could explain more like what I did for Dragon Spine, but it doesn't have much history compared to Dragon Spine anyway, so... It was really hard to choose an entry for the Sly Cooper series, specifically the winter levels from the only Sly games I played thus far was either between Fire in the Sky from Sly Cooper and Mephibius Raccoonus, and Clan of the Cave Raccoon from Sly Cooper Thieves in Time. Both of these levels are really great in their own ways, with Clan of the Cave Raccoon being more of, well, a caveman setting, and Fire in the Sky taking place in the Kunlun Mountains in western China. And I may be a bit biased towards this next segment because I am in a Mandarin class, but I really love Fire in the Sky just slightly more. It's really weird that a winter level is called Fire in the Sky, but there is a reason. The antagonist for this level, the Panda King, was always amazed by the fireworks, even born poor. He attempted the art of fireworks for a decade, then tried to offer his fireworks to the nobleman, but chased him away because of his clothes. Yeesh. And ever since he was humiliated, he used his work to destroy several villages across China, and the jobs themselves are pretty fun. For the most part. A desperate race was a nightmare because of the god-awful ice physics, and Duel by the Dragon should have been fun but became a panic fest. But aside from those, every other job is pretty good. A perilous ascent has Sly finding a way up to the statue where the rocket came from, and inside the stronghold you need to find a couple of treasure keys to unlock a ceiling hatch and more to unveil rockets that will help Sly reach the statue of the Panda King. Flaming Temple of Flame is going for a huge temple, which were also training grounds. The Unseen Foe tests the invisibility move you've unlocked, and it does it to its best potential. The King of the Hill is a mission where you have to protect Mori while he climbs up a mountain to obtain the treasure key. Rapid Fire Assault allows Sly to defeat a path of enemies to get the treasure key, and the final job, Flame Fu, which is the fight against the Panda King. And it's a pretty solid fight, especially since he uses his own fighting style, Flame Fu. And I know it's been 5 years since his passing, but rest in peace, Kevin Blackton. The entire area for Fire in the Sky looks beautiful, especially for a game made in 2001, and the HD remasters of this game prove that to the fullest extent. And I also really love the attention to detail with the temples, the statues, and even appreciating the Kunlun Mountains themselves. Basically Okami before Okami even existed. While Jak 2 and 3 uses some different settings, Jak and Daxter the Precursor Legacy uses a ton of environmental variety from beaches, swamps, caves, forests, and even a snowy mountain above the volcanic crater. Honestly, the whole level just feels like a winter wonderland. The music encapsulates the calmness of this mountaintop, all while snowballs roll down a hill, lurkers out for you, infiltrating a fort and dealing with ice physics. So yeah. So calm, am I right?
Do you realize how lame that joke is? That's literally the worst joke that I've ever heard from a kid. I cannot go a plank length further with looking at your face. Shame on you.
But in all seriousness, like with Fire in the Sky from Sly 1, Snowy Mountain is such a scenic place for a game made in 2001, and the HD remaster of the game encapsulates that perfectly. The only problem is this level I have is the ice physics, which can be pretty stiff to move around in, but aside from that, it's a really fun location. I will say, however, that I wish that there were mountain climbers or any NPC in the level to communicate with to obtain even more power cells. But meh, I really still love this level as it does test the first ever usage of the handy yellow eco and has some fun power cells and precursor orbs to collect. Especially for an early PS2 game that looks marvelous for its time. It seems as though this was a game on a Nintendo console would have been one of the good usages of the official Nintendo seal of quality. Okay, I'm gonna be real, I played MGS1 way after I played MGS4, so I shouldn't have had any nostalgia for the 4th chapter of MGS4, Shadowmosis Island, when I played it. But even without playing MGS1 prior, I've really had a sense of nostalgia, but not for some unknown reason. I didn't go into MGS1 and MGS4 blind, as I had realized how influential the events of Shadow Moses covered across the Solid Saga for Snake being declared as a war hero stopping the nuclear launch. I never played the games as a kid, but I knew enough knowledge as a youngin' to have some sense of nostalgia, especially since my first experience with the stage was watching the codec calls Easter eggs in Smash Bros. Brawl on YouTube. The chapter basically starts off with an emulated version of MGS1, and you could play it for as long as you want before you decide to quit and advance. The level is just full of cute and nice references to MGS1 after returning after such a long time. Returning to Otacon's old office is really something, and the fights against Crying Wolf and Rex vs. Ray Mechdoll is my favorite normal boss fight in gaming history. While I don't like the fight against Vamp, I don't really hate it as much as I do with other fights in other games I played. The environment looks pretty good as well. On the outside is a raging blizzard until you get to the Rex vs. Ray battle when the storm is cleared and the inside gives a bit of an eerie and abandoned vibe. Also has some pretty interesting codec calls with the depressing Crying Wolf backstory and the hilarious Blu-ray disc codex being personal favorites of mine. The entire game of MGS4 is one big love letter to Metal Gear fans across, and returning to Shadow Moses is a great treat to those who started with the series since MGS1. Plus, it's also where Snake started to be well known as a war hero. Having to hear a Metal Gear Solid 4 version of The Best Is Yet to Come is a song I'm never sick and tired of hearing. Fantastic work, Kojima. Weird how I didn't do disturbing video game levels for this year's Halloween special, but if I did, the town of Velanik from Tales of Graces would most certainly be there. I could have gone with the entirety of Fendel, but I just decided to stick with one of the towns in the game. A very creepy one at that, compared to the capital Zavert that runs on steam power, and the hidden Amasian enclave atop Mount Zavert. The residents living in Velanik are having the hardest time of their lives, and it is mainly due to them trying to keep themselves warm by attempting to find Kriya shards every single day. However, not too long ago, Velanik, while in the country of Fendel, used to belong to the neighboring country Windor. Yeah, Windor, the country where the antagonist King Richard lives. I assume, however, that this happened when Richard took the throne after he killed his deranged uncle, the former King Surdik. I say I assume, because believe it or not, there is very vague information about the settlement on the internet aside from all the requests and that info I presented just earlier. I'm not kidding, there's no information about it on Wikipedia because searching in Fendel transports us to Hello Fendel, and the Acelia wiki, which I found all the info from. This is all the info I found. Simply typing in Velanik on Google gives us nothing about the info for the place. Just YouTube videos, an IGN wiki guide about the request, and game facts and gamer guides. I mean, billions upon millions of people use the internet, and 0.0000001% actually have any information about Velanik. I'm not blaming you guys, I'm just shocked as hell. The insides of the building look like that the floorboards are about to crack in any second, which fits into the scenery as well. And like the info on Velanik, the song that plays, Drifting Town, is very disturbing, but at the same time extremely depressing. Honestly, simply just searching this amazing place was disappointing, but just like broccoli, you learn to put up with it. Hey, frick you, I hate... There was no shortage of picks of winter levels when it comes to the Mario series, from the mystical Cool Mountain from Super Mario 64, the ever-loving Freeze Flame Galaxy from Super Mario Galaxy, and even the Snow Kingdom from Super Mario Odyssey. I was originally considering Sherbet Land from Mario Kart Wii to take this spot, but that was because I almost forgot about World Free 1 from Super Mario 3D World. While I'm not too big on Super Mario 3D World, one of the most fun parts of the game for me is that the game probably has the best level variety in any mainline Mario game to date. Snowball Park is definitely amongst one of my all-time favorite levels in my whole game for that exact reason. Admittedly, it is one of the shorter levels in the game, but the time you're in is all worth the experience. I mean, it wouldn't be worth the experience if we didn't have an aurora in the background, and of course the music that fits the Christmas spirit. The ice physics don't get in the way of making the stage tedious. Hell, if anything, I think it makes the stage all the more fun, especially when you kill a Goomba and take the ice skate it was riding in. Pokies look so cool in their snow version, and the green stars are hidden quite nicely. The first one makes good use of a propeller box, the second one you get from chasing and catching a rabbit, and the third one can be a little bit of a pain to find, much like collecting the stamp, but it's still pretty fun. A really short segment we got, that just kind of fits this stage in a nutshell, and I swear I'm not trying to say that being short is bad, I promise you that. Okay, so this next segment was one that I planned to put higher, but I didn't want to blind myself due to my inner fanboy. And looking at this place objectively, this is as high as it goes. So let's talk about Erba from not just Final Fantasy XIII, but also its sequel. Okay, so Chapter 11 all in all wasn't that fun to me. There's nothing wrong with the chapter aside from Taijin Trucking Tower, and the fact that the chapter takes up almost half of the game. But after Titan's Tower comes the best area in the game, Vanille and Fang's hometown, the extinct civilization of Erba. For a town that is ruined and left abandoned after the War of Transgression, Erba still looks pretty. Maybe it's just the snow that's getting to me, but the town is placed in such a beautiful location. The ocean, beaches, mountains, and even an old school and a broken bridge. If I ever had to live anywhere on Grand Pulse aside from New Bodom, I would most definitely want to live here. Sure, it's affected with monsters, but I wonder if there's some way to tame them so I can make them my personal pets, friends, and protectors of the town. Anyways, getting back on topic, everywhere I go in Erba just screams pure beauty. The end of my least favorite chapter in the game awaits here in this glorious location, looking up at Cocoon whenever we're traveling. I would also imagine this place being a multiplayer map in Call of Duty or something like that. Wonder if there are any mods of the Erba map. The fight against Bartandalas, however, is easily the weakest part about this place, as like almost every other boss in the game, can be pretty annoying. Also, having to hear Dust to Dust when climbing up and down the mountain to get to Erba, venturing through the town, and even having to continue playing during the battles, and even the results screen. The town returns again in Final Fantasy XIII-2 with a little special gimmick. That being the temporal rift trials ranging from good to okay to ugh, get out of my face! Erba still looks as pretty as ever, and while it's more restricted since you can't go on a bridge or move more forward towards the Ashen Stance to Titan's Tower, but, never really cared about that place anyways. The fight against Caius in the 200 AF timeline is a pretty fun fight, and we learn more about Mog's past in the 300 and 400 AF timelines. One of the paradox endings you can get in this game happens in one of the Erba timeline, mainly revolves around Vanille's truth. The music instead of Dust to Dust is a new song called Ruined Hometown, and it's a pretty good song. Nothing special about it unlike Dust to Dust, but I still think it's a pretty good and chill bop. And I may have not screamed in my head like a Final Fantasy XIII fanboy when doing one of the Ultra Trials before the final boss when I heard Dust to Dust and saw Erba as an apocalyptic vista in the Ultra Judgment. Controversial opinion, playing this entire trilogy was pretty worth it if I do say so myself. About a couple years ago, and heck, even a few months ago, I used to believe this is my favorite winter theme level in gaming history. Needless to say, however, that ain't the case anymore. Neither of this being my favorite level in Unleashed anymore since I enjoy Jungle Joyride and Arid Sands more. However, I still love both the day and night levels so dearly. The daytime stage has an absolutely breathtaking background with ice physics perfect for the momentum-based boost style of gameplay, especially when you get the chance to go to the sledding sections of the levels. While some levels in Unleashed like to take advantage of a risk-reward system, Cool Edge is more so a casual experience taking into the scenery and enjoying the level at your own pace. When you have the ice physics under your own control with the drifting and boost mechanics become staples in colors and generations, the excitement starts to slide upwards immensely. You feel like you're in the level yourself when you are just sliding the bobsled on a whale, running across the icy cold water and just taking in the nice scenery, all while avoiding cracking pillars and making sure you don't fall off the bobsled in the latter part of the stage. And the Warthog stage has great usages of using your enemy's abilities to your advantage, like melting down ice on frozen doors and liquefying a bit of an ice pellet to slash it down and use it as a bridge across the water. And like I said about the Dark Moray fight in favorite Sonic levels, it's isn't the best fight in the game, but it's definitely not the worst one. But before we get to my number one favorite winter level, let's bring up the Honourable Mentions. Blizzard Peaks from Sonic Rush Adventure. It really has a great usage of the snowboarding and ice physics to its best potential. Snow Mountain from Mega Man X. Atmospherically gorgeous, great level design, and Chill Penguin is a fun fight. Ice Cap from Sonic Adventure. I mainly replay it because of the snowboarding section, but it is still a fun level regardless. Shiveria from Super Mario Odyssey. I find collecting Mamoons here to be cool. Anyways, Vachina from Star Fox Zero. Again, atmospherically gorgeous, and I really love the fights with Star Wolf and my mother Strider. Fortuna Castle from Devil May Cry 4. While I'm not the biggest fan of the music, I think that the puzzles in this level are well executed. Clan of the Cave Raccoon from Sly Cooper Thieves in Time has quite possibly my favorite mission in the entire game, and it gives Murray a bit more development. Every polar level from Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back. The game that is home to mostly snow levels, and every level where you ride as Polar was so hard to figure out what'd be my favorite one. And Planet Grobin from Ratchet & Clank 2. It's a vastly wide open area, and I just enjoy finding all the moonstones in this level despite me dying a lot because I suck at this game. So, when making this list, I had an idea on what was going to be number 1, but with this particular game, I started playing it in April 2020, and I've had on and offs with this game. It's still one of my favorite games ever made, but sometimes it's hard to regain the motivation to continue. But now that I've played more and more of the game, reaching its ultimate climax, I can finally say that Kamui from Okami is my new favorite winter theme level in all gaming. Like every area, Kamui is split into a few different areas. The village of Whipkir may not be as large as Seon City, but the village in itself is somewhat a part of this winter wonderland. The Yoshpet Forest is creepy as heck, but it does provide very fun time limit sections and is home to Isun's home village, and the Spirit Gate to go back in time to the battle against Orochi 100 years ago. Granted, however, I will say that I don't technically hate the fight against True Orochi, but it is just the same fight as the first Orochi battle. It's no easier and it's no harder. Lauchi Lake lies in the northernmost part of the map, home to the final area of the game, the Arc of Yamato by the Ezafuji mountain range. Climbing up a mountain range awaits the penultimate dungeon of the game, Waku Shrine, that is home to the twin birds Lechku and Nechku that enshrouded and plunged Kamui into darkness and chaos. Waku Shrine is my favorite dungeon in the entire game for its puzzles, story, and boss fight against the twin birds. One thing that I really love about the storyline in the Kamui arc section of the game is the character development and putting 2 and 2 together for the characters, especially with the dynamic duo Amaterasu and Isun. And while I'm not too big a fan of the story as I am with the story in the previous arc, I find Kamui's pretty interesting, since it mainly focuses on the Day of Darkness, the chief being injured after being attacked by the birds of prey, and so must find Kai's sister Lika to perform a volcanic incantation before the Day of Darkness to bring warmth back to the northern land. Some of the music pretty much brings a sense of reaching the end of the journey, such as Waku Shrine's theme and Kamui of the Northern Lands. And like 3D World Snowball Park, I don't hate the ice physics. With everything great Okami does with both the Orochi and Ninetales arcs, this arc pieces everything together and keeps reminding me why I should have finished this journey all the way back in 2020. Okami is a fantastic underrated gem, and it's highly recommended if you haven't tried it out for yourself. I'm User1 Campbell, and again, Merry Early Christmas, everyone, and see you all next time!